Awesome, and there we are. I think we are live. Hello, Internet. I don't know if anybody's watching just yet. My name is Brainy Bill from Bill Louden Science. I am broadcasting to you live from my lab in Brooklyn, New York. This is actually my first Instagram live feed. And today I wanted to make a little bit of slime and also hopefully give you some information about a good cause. Let me just adjust my camera here a little bit. And what I hope to accomplish today is make a little bit of slime and tell you about a really good organization. So I kind of thought we could put two things together. First of all, slime, right? Everybody loves making slime. If you don't like making slime, then there's another reason to watch. And the other reason to watch is while we're making slime, when we get to the actual making part, the squishy part, I'm going to tell you about a really good cause every week here at 11 a.m. This week's cause is going to be for City Harvest. So today we're actually going to talk a little bit about hunger. When you're making slime, you don't want to talk about it as just slime. When you say the word slime, it probably makes the grown-ups in your life go, "Ugh." Slime is messy. Slime is sticky. It's ooey. It's gooey. It gets on the furniture. It gets on the table. It gets in our hair, if we have any to get in. Grown-ups don't like slime because it makes a huge mess. So if we're going to make slime, we want to be able to do it smart, and we want to do it in a way that isn't going to make a huge mess for all the grown-ups who have to help us clean it up. So two things that you're always going to want to have on hand if you're making slime is, first of all, just a warm, wet washcloth. Always got to have that. If you get some slime on your fingers, get some glue, wipe it right off, no problem. But the other secret ingredient when you're making slime, another thing that you want to have on hand is vinegar. Vinegar is an acid, and it actually dissolves the chains that the chains between the polymer molecules. Basically, all that means is it unsticks slime. So if you get slime in your hair, in your beard, in your mustache, in your clothes, vinegar will take it right out. Now, to make slime, every week we're going to try out a different recipe, and the first one we're going to try out this week is going to be just a standard slime, and you really only need 3 ingredients to make this slime. First of all, you're going to need just a bottle of school glue. White glue will work, clear glue will work, and you're also going to want to have on hand your borax. Next week, we're going to look at the alternative recipe that uses contact lens solution instead. So, let's see, you guys can really see up my nose here on Instagram Live. Last thing we're going to have on hand is some water. And if you can get your water in 2 parts, that's awesome. 1 cup of hot water is perfect. You want it as hot as possible, but of course you don't want to burn your fingers, so be careful. This is just hot tap water here. It's fine to the touch. And then I've also got a little bit of extra water on the side here. And we're going to use both of those temperatures of water for different reasons. We just said that you don't want to call it a slime. What you do want to call it, if you want to sound really smart, you want to call it a polymer. And if you don't want to forget that word, make your robot hands like so and say polymer. I can't actually hear you. I'm just going to trust that you're saying it out there. A polymer is just something that is made out of molecules that are long and bendy and stretchy. So when we think about glue, for instance, glue is an excellent example of polymer molecules. Glue is more viscous than water, all right? And that's because the molecules inside of it are not water molecules. They're these long, bendy, stretchy molecules, kind of like this right here. Got some spaghetti in my bowl here, and spaghetti with long stretchy noodles, and the problem with those noodles is they're really slippery. I don't know if you've ever tried to eat spaghetti just plain, without butter, without sauce, with a fork. It will slide right off of the fork, aside from not being very flavorful. Of course, what do we got to add to our spaghetti? Well, you can add a lot of things to spaghetti, but one classic thing you want to add is your sauce. While we're making our slime, we're going to think about our glue like this spaghetti. The spaghetti is pure polymer molecules. There's nothing else to help kind of make those polymer molecules stick to anything or to stick to each other. And so once we mix our glue with a little bit of water, we're going to create a PVA, a polyvinyl acetate, and that is going to be modeled here with a little bit of sauce. All right. We've got our bowl of spaghetti, we've got our sauce, and now we can just dig in with our hands, right? Take our hands and no, of course not, right? We don't want to we gotta have a fork. And this is going to be one of the most important things when we make slime. So what is the fork in our slime? The fork in our slime is the borax. The borax is going to be our cross-linker molecules. It's going to go into our spaghetti molecules. Don't put borax in your spaghetti, by the way. It's going to go into our polymer molecules, and it's going to actually hook them together. The polymer molecules are kind of floating in the water, and the borax molecules are going to come through and kind of rake them up, just like our spaghetti here. I did not ever imagine that I would spend my morning eating spaghetti on the internet. But, you know, such is life these days. Very good. Now, the first thing we want to do with our slime is make what we call the spaghetti and sauce, our polyvinyl acetate. To do that, you just need a nice big bowl or cup or container, and you're going to mix basically 1 part glue with 1 part water. Just, this is the fun part. All right. So again, we've got our sticky polymer molecules here. Oh, I'm going to need that in just a second. Good thing it didn't go too far. We've got our sticky polymer molecules here, much more viscous than water. And if we want a 1-to-1 ratio, we can just take that same glue bottle that I carelessly cast aside, very carefully top it off with some water, and then pour the water into the bowl. Now you're going to get all the rest of the glue out of that bottle. Now you can use a stick, a plastic spoon. Craft sticks work great for this, and just give it a stir. If you're going to mix in any kind of add-ons, if you're going to do a little bit of food coloring or a little bit of a bubble fizzer or anything like that, now is the time to do that. In fact, if you were going to add color, you should add it to the water before you mix it in here, and that way everything gets really uniformly mixed. And the key to slime is patience. All right? So we're just going to set that aside for 1 second. This is where we're going to go to our hot water. Again, please be very careful. The hotter the better, but you don't want to burn yourself. And the reason we want it to be hot is because hot water molecules have lots of energy. When things heat up, when a gas or a liquid heats up, the molecules actually split apart. They don't split apart, but they separate. They move away from each other because they're bouncing all over the place. They have lots of energy. And that means we can fit a lot of borax in between those molecules. Hot water will actually hold more borax than cold water. And what that means is that we get a really condensed, concentrated kind of what we would call a sodium tetraborate aqueous. So I'm going to add 1 cup of very hot water, and then the borax you want to add slowly and mix it in really well. And you're only going to need a total of about 1 spoonful, not even. If you put too much in here, your slime will end up a little bit chunky. It'll end up kind of dry. It won't be stretchy. All right, so I'm going to just put that in there, and I'm going to stir it in really, really well. Again, we want to be nice and patient. Make sure everything mixes together really well. So now what we have here are 2 solutions of glue and water, and then borax and water, okay? So in other words, over here we've got our noodles and we've got our sauce, and over here we've got our fork molecules. For our next step, we are going to just very, very slowly add our borax solution over to our glue solution. And we're going to stir the whole time, and the more we stir, the better it's going to turn out. I would recommend using your stick until you really have a nice solid piece of slime that's not sticking to the sides of the container. Once you see that it's not sticking anymore, you know that you can probably start mixing it with your fingers with your warm washcloth set aside, just in case. All right? Now while we're doing this, there is a reason that I wanted to talk about spaghetti today. So I'm going to just slowly kind of start mixing this in, and I want to tell you about hunger. And hunger is a particularly frustrating and even a kind of stupid problem to face, because what do we know? There's lots of food. There are farmers out there who have more food right now than they can get rid of, and yet there are still people suffering from hunger. And that doesn't just mean that they're hungry or that they're starving, although there are people out there who are legitimately hungry. But another thing that can mean is that they in their community just don't have access to healthy food, to nutritious food, to fresh food. And that's a problem. That's a problem with people's health. It's a public health problem. Well, I've told you about the problem, but what I also want to tell you about is an organization called City Harvest. Their job is to partner with organizations, with businesses, and they pick up food that is donated, and they bring it to the people who can give it out where it's needed. So they can give it to food pantries, they can give it to food banks, they can give it to church organizations. So their important part is they're a good link in the chain. And that's a good segue, of course, because now that we have started to stir, we see a lovely slime consistency. And you can see it's breaking a little bit, and it's also a little bit wet. So it's not sticking to the sides, but it's definitely still very wet. Ooh, and very sticky. There we go. This is the moment you're looking for. When the slime starts to pull away from the sides of the container, then it is time to get your fingers in there. So to just quickly finish up what I was telling you about, ooh, this is the gross part. To quickly finish up what I was telling you about, you can visit cityharvest.org and you can find out all sorts of cool information. They have their backstory. It all started out with potato skins being eaten at a restaurant and finding out that the core or the center of the potato was getting thrown away. That was how it all started out. And now they do food delivery, of course, but they also do nutritional education. They work with businesses to help them supply and stock healthy foods right here in New York City. So please go ahead and give them a visit at cityharvest.org. And now, with very little mess, I've got some little pieces on my finger here, but it's not all over the table. It's not all over my fingers. It's not in my hair. Quick cleanup, and you have yourself a sticky, ooey gooey slime. And like I said, if you want, you can try out another batch. If it didn't work this time, try another batch with a little less borax or a little more borax. But what you have here is an ooey gooey, slimy polymer. That's all I've got for you today. My name is Brainy Bill, and you can find me at www.billloudonscience.com. Make sure that you visit cityharvest.org and find out some cool information about them. And this summer, you can join me every Friday, 11 a.m. We're going to make more slime. I've got dozens of slime ingredients. We've got at least a year's worth here. And of course, remember, do more science, have more fun. My name is Brainy Bill. Thank you very much for joining me today, and have an awesome day. Oh boy, how do you actually stop a live stream?